I'm Squish.
And I'm Nicole.
And we just thought that this would be a good idea to talk about our quarantine experience.
It's a little different than some of you might be experiencing.
So we've been in quarantine 2 months.
Yep.
Now, we started quarantining a little bit earlier than most people. We were doing it in just our apartment, but we have 5 roommates. One of them is actually a security guard at a hospital.
He is actually still working even today.
So now we're here, which is not our apartment.
Really good we got out of there. I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 17, and going through the treatment for that the first time caused some autoimmune issues just with that. Since then, I've also been diagnosed with many more autoimmune disorders. I'd say most significantly, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a pretty severe presentation of it.
Also called EDS.
Also called EDS, which is much easier to say. We call ourselves zebras. Hashimoto's thyroiditis, epilepsy, a list. We don't need to go through all of them. And I've been through a couple of surgeries for various tumor removals, cancer relapses, and all in all, have had already a couple of really bad experiences with pneumonia, and my doctor was very, very concerned about the possibility of me catching a virus that likes to kill people with pneumonia.
Such as COVID-19.
Yeah.
Her mother was gracious enough to get us a little B&B that is 8 by 8 and is holding the 2 of us and our 2 cats.
Who are precious little angels.
And we're making do, but like she said, she has a lot of medical issues, and sometimes things come up, like tearing a tendon on a bathroom door.
That's normal. Oh, one of our kitties came
Just
to
our
visit.
cat. Say hi, Ollie.
Say hi, Ollie. So yeah, we have a lock on our bathroom door that is a little bit broken. And one small piece was hanging out about like this. And I just turned around into it, hit just under the like ball of the elbow with that piece, which for a normal person might not be a huge deal, but for a person with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, absolutely means the elbow dislocated, a tendon is injured in some way, and it immediately was very, very painful, swelling, and just not a fun situation.
We didn't have anything to wrap it with except a pair of pajama pants.
And we were past curfew already. Oh, our other kitten came to visit. This is Persephone. Say hi, Persephone. We were past curfew already, so I could not send Squish out to get anything. We had no ice, had nothing to wrap it with.
Sorry for any camera movements, our cat is claiming the computer.
Oh, you can see her little butt in the frame.
And now she's chewing on the computer.
She's
teething.
Yeah, she's almost a year old, and just 2 of her teeth right here are growing in, and recently she's become much more bitey.
So the next day, I went down to the convenience store when curfew was lifted in the morning and bought a couple of ace bandages, and we've been wrapping it and doing the best we can with that, and it's looking and feeling as good as it can.
Yeah, the ice also helped.
Yeah,
also,
lots of ice.
Yeah, useful to say that thanks to my wonderful disorder, my skill at relocating joints is A+.
That's useful.
It's very useful. However, it is not as fun when you can't go to a pharmacy to pick up any sort of painkillers. Yeah, just fun.
A thing with epilepsy, if you guys don't know, is one of the medicinal treatments is marijuana. So Nicole has a medical marijuana card, and we were going to walk to the apothecary, which was like a short 15-minute walk. The streets weren't very crowded.
Pause, for the most part, we might want to mention that we live on Oahu
in Hawaii.
Even just going out of the house, though, was still a little scary because it was
anxiety-provoking.
Yeah. It's the first time that I have left the house in like 2 months, and the second time for Chris, who had just gone out to get me ace bandages and ice.
Right. I have also gone out to get groceries and things. I was the person who's going out to feed us. Yes. So we had a nice little walk. But then on the walk back, I'm a very
Graceful.
jumpy person. I like to jump and play and skip and do weird things. And so I was doing such weird things on a curb and landed wrong. And we're pretty sure dislocated my knee.
Very, very badly and terrifyingly.
Walked home with just a limp, which was fine. But then when we got home, I started, and I was sitting on the bed, but with my legs all the way laid out. And I was starting to not be able to feel my foot, which isn't that uncommon for me. I have really bad blood circulation, so I just thought it was like fibromyalgia, which is one of my problems. And I sometimes get pins and needle feelings, but it wasn't going away. And it was starting to get cold, which was a new sensation. And that's when I told Nicole.
And Nicole, who has a bit of experience with joint issues, knew that a foot that was getting cold and having that sort of sensation could mean that the dislocated knee had cut off either supply to a blood vessel or to a nerve, or to both, and he needed to go to the hospital.
But we can't go to the hospital because I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but we're in fucking quarantine.
Worst thought of him having to go to the hospital, maybe a little selfish for me.
It was my worst thought, too.
Was that really neither of us are grade A on mental health, and being together is what is keeping us going and being okay. And the thought that if Squish had to go to the hospital, he would not have been able to come back, and I would be in isolation with our cats alone.
And I would have to isolate it back at our apartment for at least 2 weeks when and if I got out of the hospital. Yeah. If I didn't get sick.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to do that. Even though the moms we called suggested it.
To be clear, he was going to do it if our last ditch effort had not worked. So we don't like people's foots falling off and dying in this household.
I would rather my foot fall off and die than me die.
We don't like our husbands going into full gangrene, going septic, and dying in this household.
It didn't happen. Because we fucked around with it for about half an hour, and
I ended up putting my hand here, putting all my body weight onto this leg, while pulling the lower part of the leg. I am not trained in relocating anyone's body parts.
Except probably... You are trained in...
I've been taught how to relocate my own body parts, because it happens so frequently, and putting my own body parts back into place is not as hard as it is for a normal person, because
If you didn't, we would have to go to the hospital. I'm not even exaggerating, 20 times a day.
Yeah. But also my connective tissues are stretched out enough that it is also slightly easier to relocate things after I dislocate things. Nobody who should ever try to relocate their own joints.
Ever.
And you should certainly not try to relocate someone else's joints.
Ever.
I should not have tried. I tried to get him to go to the hospital first.
And in any other circumstance, I would have gone to the
Yes.
hospital. But, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but we're in fucking quarantine.
Yeah. So he talked me into trying to go with my trust in how I feel joints in my experience, and hoping that what I was feeling would work. And it was maybe the most terrified I have ever been, because I know that if you relocate something improperly, or put that much pressure on any joint or any bone, especially one that is already injured, you can do a lot of damage. And I was just sitting there shaking and being very anxious and just thinking that I was going to kill my husband or at least his leg.
But my thoughts were, is it couldn't have gotten worse. Because I was already at that point in my mind, alright, the foot's gone. So, I was just thinking, what's a leg?
Yeah. That's not what I was thinking.
But now, my foot's completely fine, and my knee only hurts, which is good. But it took the person who could go out and do things and shove them onto the bed for the 5 days I was out, not being able to walk.
I would not let him get up or move because I was so afraid that that joint, which started swelling immediately, would get more unstable, push the knee out again, and that I would not be able to relocate it. So we were suddenly very, very stuck and isolated, even more so than we have been, with no one able to leave for any reason.
Yeah, like a lot of people are talking about boredom right now, and we don't even have a kitchen, so like some of those things that we grew accustomed to for like stress relief, like I love baking, we don't get that anymore.
I normally play piano. I've been a pianist for most of my life. We certainly don't have a piano in our Airbnb.
No, that's still at home, and so a lot of things are different right now, but we're trying to make it through, and we're kind of hoping that maybe talking about it with the internet will help.
With absolute strangers who will probably never see this. But just venting.
And through, I don't even know what thing, probably learning what thing would have helped. But we did a family game night recently, and that was a lot of fun. We played just some silly games that we could all play online together through a shared code.
Yeah, we used, I think it's called Jack in the Box or something like that. And we got to get on and chat with two of my sisters and my brother, and also my mom and stepdad, our brother-in-law, and then Chris and I. And
it was a lot of fun.
We have a big family. That's a very small portion of our families. I think connecting with people, being with each other, connecting with our family through the phone.
It's the only way that we're staying through this. So we know you've probably heard it from other people, but really do just reach out, text, talk. People will reply. They don't have anything better going on.
And if by some chance you do see this and you're one of the people who is immunocompromised and scared, or who knows someone who is immunocompromised and scared, or is a caregiver and wonderful person, maybe take some comfort in knowing that you are not alone, that there are other people in the same situation, and you are not. We are all in this together.
We're all in this together. Goodbye.
Goodbye. And stay safe.
Stay safe.
Sending love and spoons to everyone.